everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to Beyond the Outer Realm, the spin-off show of The Outer Realm, which airs live, of course, on Wednesday and Thursday evenings. Um, that's short and simple. We don't have, I'm so used to blabbering off sponsor IDs and everything. It's kind of still new for me. But one thing that hasn't changed is we are still streaming live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. So I've been getting a lot of messages from you guys about this specific show, and it's been really nice. I'm glad that you guys are taking to it so well. And one that seems to really be taking off is the uncensored shows. Wonder why. So I love doing them, and I love bringing on people who are into it as well, and there'll be some great guests up and coming. And of course, we love the special features as well, and bringing on people, our friends and guests from the other side of the world, which I really struggle when it's 2 a.m. your time. This usually works out a lot better. But today I'm joined by a dear friend, Carolann, and we are going to have some fun with this because there's a whole list of amazing things that we're going to talk about. So, hi, Patsy. Hey, hello, Michelle. So it takes a little bit of time. I see we're loading up. So remember, guys, if you're on Rumble or X, I can see your comments come to the soundboard. We are on 3 of our YouTube channels, and we're on the Outer Realm Facebook and Roku TV, which does not have a chat room. Okay, so as you know, there's only going to be one place that you're going to find the video archive for this, at least right away. Right there. I don't want to say it because apparently you'd be chastised for that. So right there, go look for that. Show us some love. Support us. We love you for it. But that's where you'll be able to watch the stream. At least if you've missed it and you want to see it right away, this is where you're going to catch it. So without further ado, my darling friend, Carolann, hello.
Hi, everyone. Hello, Michelle. Always such a joy to be with you.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure. Hey, Z-Sun. Oh my God. It's such a pleasure. We always have so much fun. Even when we're talking meat and potatoes, type of stuff, we still manage to do it with a lot of fun. So, we have a list, of course, and I've popped up a bunch of stuff as well. So where do you want to start with all this? Because there's so much, it's hard to even.
It's true.
Right? Like it's the sign of the times. It's the world we live in. We're going to touch on some stuff that is sort of forbidden in old world, or stuff that's fresh, and and we're going to look at stuff that's been happening that people are like, what the hell is that? Right? So let's start with I don't know, you want to start with smart dust?
I think so. I mean, I love talking about conspiracy theories because I have found that you just need like 6 months for them to be proven right most of the time. So
I know.
I love doing that to people. Like I go, I told you, and I'm not a I told you so person. But when it comes to stuff like this,
I know. Yeah. We're like those friends, that people are just kind of sitting there. As Wayne said, what isn't a conspiracy these days? I remember my daughter saying to me when I was telling her about something, she goes, "Oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist." I was just like, let me get my tinfoil crown and put it on. And yes, I am. And within about 3 months, she goes, "Oh, I wish I would have listened." I know. I didn't have to say I told you so. I was like, I know. But a lot of things are coming out like that right now, and it's interesting to see it all unfold, and as you say, so quickly.
Yep.
I think January was like, what the hell happened? Because everything was happening in that 1 month, and you and I have done a lot of we covered quite a few topics in part 1, so you guys will have to go to the other platform.
Oh yeah, you got to watch
part 1. Yeah, don't want to just blabber that out, because apparently that is a thing now. On YouTube, is they don't like you moving people over.
No,
I found out. So it's another thing, but anyway, okay.
They don't like much, so
No, no. So, all right, smart dust.
Yeah.
Whoa, you want to get us started then?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you folks remember, I think about several months ago, maybe less, and for some reason, Florida seemed to had been all over social media for having an impact of it. And I have a good dear friend of mine who went, and I'll just preface things with this little quick story. She went out to walk her dog, very fit woman, around our age. And this mist came in, and she thought it was very unusual. And it was kind of sticking to her clothes, almost like a powdery substance.
Oh.
And she took her dog home, and then a few hours later, she started coughing, and just her lungs were killing her, hurting her. And long story short, she got so deathly ill that she was in bed for almost a month.
Wow.
And she spoke to one of her doctors about it, correlating this fog, this dust. And one of the doctors even admitted that something very strange was going on at the time. There was such an abundance of it happening, and people were posting all over social media. They were showing dog bowls left out in the water, and you'd see this film in it and on cars. But yeah, so that's kind of like
New Jersey, the same.
Yeah, we had it here too. We had it here too.
Some of the drone states.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yeah, good point, and true.
And it came right after the drones. Yeah.
It did. It did.
Yeah.
And some drones were seen spraying some type of crap out too. So who knows? I'm very close to the New Jersey border, so we did have some drone sightings here. I could literally walk to New Jersey from where I'm at, in the Poconos, Pennsylvania. So we did see some of that stuff here, and it wasn't nice, but who knows what they're doing. But anyway, just to get folks caught up, in case you haven't heard of smart dust, been around for a long time.
Yeah. And
I think it was the 1990s where it was actually proposed by some researchers at Berkeley, and of course funded by DARPA. It's this tiny wireless micro electromechanical detecting dust, and it factors itself in light, temperature, vibration, chemicals, and it transmits data wirelessly. This is the conspiracy theory. Very minuscule in size, and of course, it has a potential for mass deployment. The origins come from the military, and that's fueled a lot of the conspiracy theories today. So I have a little video that I want to show folks. Let me.
Now you do that, and then I'm going to put up a picture that I have as well that will spin off of some of this, what you're saying. So yes, please do.
Get this. I'm going to add it to the stage and then play. Yes, it's all the clips that I have are shorts because we're not going to watch 20-minute videos. But I think a lot of them are very concise and comprehensive. So enjoy.
Tiny invisible sensors monitor everything from environmental changes to your health in real time. Smart dust refers to microscopic wireless sensors that collect and transmit data, revolutionizing fields like healthcare, agriculture, and security. These particles, as small as grains of sand, can be dispersed to form vast, intelligent networks. The future of sensing is here, and it's smaller than you think. Imagine a...
Okay, so that basically gives you a quick summary of it's a real thing. We know that, Michelle.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm wondering if these are our test areas. And I mean, here we go. Right here, we've got a patent. Silent sound, subliminal mind control. So this kind of goes, the same sort of technology, but to do other things like through your TV, radio signals, all of these towers. And look at when it was issued, October 27th, 1992.
Correct.
And I'll tell you something. I have worked with people who believed, they were, I always say some of the people I work with, it's 50-50 with respects to whether they have ET or my lab experiences, as well as just paranormal experiences. 50-50 end up having, the first two. And I've worked with people who say, I keep hearing things, I keep hearing voices. It's crazy, you know, and it's not all of it is paranormal, but when they're directly communicating with you, right? It's like a hypnotist voice, right? It's very calm. And I mean, I've had a couple where they say, no, they know exactly what I'm doing. I said, you know, and I don't think when you can you turn off your smart TVs? We don't know. They say you can turn off the feature, but I don't know. It works like your computer. Just put something over top of it or like a blanket, anything, if there are really some concerns there. But everything's always listening. Your phone's always listening.
Oh yeah.
You know. So
absolutely.
but
I mean, some of the major concerns scare me.
mhm.
I you know, and I don't think this is really a conspiracy theory, but
Yeah,
as
I
you
don't think
just
so.
said, yeah, I think this
Yeah.
is legit stuff. Nanotechnology for mind control, which you just showed us, right?
Mhm. Well, right
Chemtrails,
down to frequencies. The buzzing in the ear
exactly.
sometimes are so painful that I'm just like, you know, I know it's not tinnitus. I've been checked out.
I agree. I agree. It's, you know, and it's intuitively your body knows when it's being hit with something too, like
Yeah.
chemtrail payloads. So another popular theory is that a
Yep.
lot of the chemtrails we're seeing today are, you know, proponents of and dispersed by smart dust, right?
Right.
It's also used as a government surveillance tool, which you again just showed the patent for.
Oh, yeah.
Bioweapon for
They,
population control. That's a big one.
well, they have a patent for chemtrails.
Yes.
You know, they have a patent for that, and it's been going on a pretty long time now. Right. So, I mean, but yeah,
You know, that's one thing
neurotechnological
I have to
warfare.
interject that makes me crazy. Sorry if I get very
No, no,
passionate
no,
about
it's okay. No, that's why we're here. Let the passion roll, girl.
sometimes they just make blood shoot out of my eyes. But
Yeah.
my sister posted because she's one that I always have to like have a 6-month argument with before she wakes up. But she posted this pilot who came out and said, "Oh, there's no such thing," and he's been a pilot for like 30 years. There's no such thing as chemtrails. It's ice particles distributed by jets. And I'm like,
They've just proven different. Well, this
Hattie.
is just a sound thing again. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
So
they've proven
crazy.
different. So he was either they didn't tell him or you know, or he was being dishonest with you. And I'm thinking maybe it's because they don't all know. I don't doubt that all the planes do that. But there are certain ones that are doing different things. You know, it's just it's not what we all are being told it is. It's just not.
Plus, think
So
about it. Even if they were ice trails, why would they be in crisscross patterns? And the planes don't fly that way.
well, no, and there are different reasons for it. I'm gonna put up another picture here. One second.
Yeah.
There, you know, there's different reasons for it. It's just, you know, here's another patent right here, and this is where the chemtrails. In some cases, this is what they do. They put all kinds of things. It's not just aluminum that they're putting out there because you could find patents for a whole lot of other, like the graphene oxide, right?
Barium, chromium,
All of
I
it.
mean, they're loading it up.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so this is hi Heidi. So you can see this is completely, you know, they have patents for it and they're not hiding it. They're just not hiding it.
Yeah, it's not good.
So we know that's not conspiracy, but to me it falls under a little bit of a forbidden knowledge sort of thing or on a need to know basis, and somebody out there doesn't feel we all need to know.
Yeah. I mean, there's also conspiracies that smart dust is also used for mass surveillance without our consent, of course.
Yes.
How about weather manipulation, sabotaging our health? There are many reports of, as I said, of this strange fog. What about Morgellons disease, right?
All kinds of it. And you know, when you're getting into weather, I mean, again, okay, here's this one for tornado control.
Oh, good.
Okay, so they have, and they have this for everything. You know, you can thank HARP and CERN, and there's a lot of technology. They're all broken down. There's some out there for hurricanes and how to intensify them. I'm sorry. Do you want to talk about what's happened in the Carolinas and Maui? That one with, DWs, but with this stuff, I mean, have we heard? Is there anything in history? Does anybody know offhand? Anybody in chat or Carolann? Yeah, right. Geostorms. So is there anything that has ever shown a massive hurricane to hit as high as North Carolina? I mean, touch on it. Usually it's like a remnant of something, like a lot of rain, but with such ferocity, the fact that, that they've
The one in New Orleans.
BlackRock bought property up there for lithium mines might have had something to do with it. But
what about this storm in New Orleans? What was that called? It wasn't Sandy. Sandy was bad. We got hit with Sandy. It was what's the name of that one we had in New Orleans? So many people lost their lives.
I know. But they're right on the coast. You understand that. They're right there on the Gulf Coast. When you are going inland to that degree, you have to think, right? Katrina. Thank you, Patsy. You have to think about the events before and after. No, the government would not subsidize. A lot of places got their insurance policies canceled.
Yes.
Months before. And then you have this large company, BlackRock, coming in, buying up this one of the largest lithium mines that they just found. I don't know. All the fires, I don't know. Well, we're going to put up this like a 15-minute city. Okay. You kind of just sort of sit back and go, They were not stupid, but the point is they're not even hiding it. But the fact remains is their methods. It's like, hello, we're on to it by now.
And then they think we're stupid and try to give us these BS excuses. I mean, it's,
No, it's true. And when you factor in insurance policies, I had a friend of mine message just a few weeks ago, and she said, starting in Arizona, they were starting to cancel insurance policies.
Scary.
Why? So to all my friends out there, heads up, So, I mean, you have to factor in that things are happening and you have to follow the trail. There's a reason that so many people want censorship. So many governments, they have it in Canada. Thank God for like American television. And like, I've got like DirecTV. So it's like, I'm not missing a freaking thing, but you have to start wondering why all this is happening. They don't want you to see it all. And thank God for platforms like X and
Absolutely.
Telegram and, that are keeping the world, informed.
Yeah. We're so used to like the social constructs that we've created for ourselves in this matrix. And we've talked about that before too, Michelle. I thought that was a great conversation we had about, escaping the matrix and whatnot. But
yes.
I mean, we all need to start really thinking outside of our own ability to be narrow-minded and myopic and say, maybe these things are really legit. All right, maybe some of them are blown up a little more than they should be, but I think the majority of what we're talking about today is some real stuff, like legit stuff.
It is. And, people who are out there, there are many people who think, the government has our best interests at heart. Believe me, people are out there. And I find out of fear, also, maybe people do not want to even go there. I can't blame them. Like, it's a scary place out there. I feel for the next generation, like, what are they coming into if this is the stuff that we're experiencing now? And I remember when my mom was passing, she was she was a fireball and she was very sharp. And basically, she went from this person who fought. Like, she had that warrior spirit. No, this is crap, she'd tell you. She had all her faculties, and in her last, I would say, 6 months of life, I used to call, the prime minister, the golden boy, right? Because, he was just she had met him and she loved him, and and I'm just like, hey, the golden boy is just like throwing us all the freaking boomerang again or whatever. I don't know why you say that. He's doing the best he can. What? Where's my mother? Who are you? What have you done with my mother? Like, it's just crazy stuff, crazy talk. Anyway, but she just refused at that point to go there. So I guess you must hit a certain age or other things that kind of make you go, no, I don't mind just being complacent and happy in my world. And right in the middle of the summer, I'm going to have a glass of wine and watch a Christmas movie. What? I mean, okay on the wine, but what?
You know what it's too, I think, Michelle, she probably experienced so much pain from a lifetime's worth of seeing maybe the truth.
Well, she was
maybe she
gifted.
Turned it off one day and said,
yeah,
ignorance is bliss. Like,
yeah. I mean, I could real talk with her, about saying, like, so how I got a lot of my experience or information was from my mother. Thank gosh, before she passed, because otherwise, like, that she seemed okay with things like that, but it was just, I think, because she was also very gifted, so it's just there's generational experiencers, so lineage, things like that, so I get it. But when it came to things like government, no. And she retired from working for the government. She knew exactly what the feds were all about. She knew they were all about, and she was the first to say it. But all of a sudden, I think a combination of age and everything else, people just sort of backed off a little bit and went, okay. Because she did a complete transformation on me, and I just did not see that coming. So I think a lot of what they're putting out there, smart dust, absolutely. I think it's something that, do you think that we're going to start seeing in more places? Like, do you think Florida and New Jersey, do you think these were like test areas?
I do. I think you nailed it right there. I think between the drones, as you mentioned, that's what the government does. And, it's funny. I went from saying to myself, the government hates us. They want us all off the planet, and I really believe that. But I think it's more these families that are behind the government, these bloodlines that are running the government behind, like the deep state kind of thing. I think they hate humanity. I really do. And they want us like out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying everything, because look at the old patents that you have been pulling up.
There's tons of them out there.
Yeah. I mean, you showed some in the first episode. I mean, think about it. This has been well thought out for decades.
Yes. I think that's the part that makes it so maddening, is because you stop and you think about the fact that, there's been thought out technology that has been implemented. I grew up in a time with no chemtrails.
Oh, me too.
I'm 70s, 80s. We're just like, what? There's nothing like that. But now, I mean, like, our kids did not grow up in that. And you have to ask yourself, well, the grandchildren will, when our kids have kids, what will they grow up in? So where are we at with all of that? It's just really nerve-wracking. Hey, Ed, when you think about the fact that this has been going on for decades, and when you look at some of the patents, every time there's an improvement and they want to expand on that technology, or there's something new they want to add, there's another patent.
Right.
So you're not just looking at these patents and that's it. Oh, maybe they experimented with it in 1992 and left it alone. No, if you dig, you will find there's a website. I've tried to find it. I've got miles and miles of files and papers, and I tried to find it. But there is a website you can go to, and you can see all of these patents.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. There's a lot of patents.
I have a patent I developed years ago for a product, and getting a patent is not easy. It's one of the most difficult, expensive things.
Yes, it is.
To do. And, it's so nuanced in every way, shape, and form. Mm-hmm. So, and when you see these old patents with like your tornado drawing with the hurricanes and stuff, I mean, now it's all, AI driven and produced, but it's scary, crazy stuff.
It is for sure. So we know that okay, we're getting over the whole smart dust thing. Yes, health sabotage, weather manipulation, and mass surveillance. You know, without consent. Yes, and I think that's going to lead to a lot of other technology with this transhumanism and things of that nature as well. So that's something else. I guess we're all going to be able to, you know, I look forward to some more chaos. There it comes. But I mean, hey, you know what? On the flip side, some people think it's great. Some people think it's great. Well, no, I mean, if you have a debilitating disease, you can be diagnosed immediately. But yes, this is what I always come back to, Ed. Big Brother, 1984, 100%. 100%. You know, and that gets you into a whole other talk about apocalyptic times, all of these things that are surfacing right now that you know are, wait a minute, isn't that one of the signs that we're supposed to look for in the end times and things like that? I mean, then you can ask yourself, are they forcing it or are they really happening it?
Look at the movie The Minority Report.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, that blew me away. That is such predictive programming right there. Yeah. They're telling us all, you know, they're letting us know their next steps.
Yes.
Or previous steps. But
yes,
I think that segues perfectly into human hybridization and human engineering.
Yes. 100%. So, you know, that'll be, you know, we'll get into that, but I want to go on number 2 on the list, which is Greek fire. And then we'll get into some more juicy stuff for sure. That's wild stuff. So Greek fire, enlighten us.
Okay. So the Greek fire is this infamous incendiary weapon that was developed by the Byzantine Empire. And it's long been the subject of fascination and speculation due to its mysterious compositions and devastating effectiveness. Mm-hmm. While the historic records provides ample evidence of its use, particularly in naval warfare from the 7th century onward, the secrecy surrounding its formula has given rise to various conspiracy theories. I have a quick video I want to just kind of show you guys. Let me set the stage for that. And when I found out about it, it blew me away. And I really think that this thing existed. So here we go.
Okay.
Let me play it. Now, where's the audio? Oh, wait a minute.
We got to bring it up. There we go. Do that.
Flammable liquid, which was used by the Byzantines starting in the year 672 CE. One of the distinguishing features of Greek fire is that it couldn't be put out by water. Legend holds that Greek fire was actually ignited by water. The Greek fire was launched at ships from a flamethrower-like device called a siphon. They were large bronze spigots from which the Greek fire was pumped out and onto enemy ships. The fire supposedly made an enormous roaring sound when it was launched. It would burn wood, cloth, and flesh. It would also burn when it floated on water. According to reports, the only thing which could put out Greek fire was vinegar and old urine. During the first and second Arab sieges of Constantinople, Greek fire was one of the critical factors which allowed the Romans to repel the attacks. If it wasn't for Greek fire, the empire could have fallen almost 700 years before it eventually did. To hear this story and many others,
I mean, that's pretty mind-blowing stuff. And there's historical proof that this existed. I mean, there's in museums, there's antiquities. I mean, it's crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm. So do you think in a way that some of this is being used today, some of this technology or close to it, because they'll do it with DWs, but it takes a lot to be able to, to put these things out.
Well, and look at the weaponry we have today. You know, not only are planes being mounted with these massive lasers, and there's a whole conspiracy theory behind that too. If you look at the Maui fires, the fires in California, and that whole blue roof thing, remember that going around? Yeah. That your house wouldn't burn down if it had a blue roof because lasers don't burn the color blue.
Wow, they had recycling bins in that color, specifically of vehicles that were all just fine, which is kind of strange right there. Some people, said, oh, no, smart meters as well. I imagine it all was a contributing factor. But the people don't realize there's a couple of people on YouTube, and what they do is they follow that sort of stuff, and they actually went in and got there were, I guess, satellites, DEW satellites or planes, but there were images and video captured of lasers coming from somewhere, Australia, Southern California, Northern Canada, and again, recently in the US.
Yep.
So, you know what? I mean, they're capturing this. Everybody's got camera phones. People have got security cameras. People are out and about. Like photos are being taken or videos. It's showing up.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. Ed makes a good point, because I'm starting to think that the blue is based on frequency, not just a color thing, but a frequency that the weapon or item does not recognize. So it does not affect it because it's not the same frequency. I believe there's so much that's made of vibration and frequency. This would not surprise me in the least, to be honest. Again, there's so much technology, obviously, that we have no idea about. But I mark my words, now that it's a thing, because I think there was actually a video of the last U.S. President Biden saying what the fire, he was overheard because his mic was off, and he was, and and he said, well, he goes, so with the ones with the blue roofs didn't burn, he goes, we need to look into that. There's a video of him saying that.
I heard that.
Right. So mark my words, you're going to start seeing recycled bins turn into a different color, and you may not have, this specific color of blue roof, which is probably the same color as, this right over here, like the little Facebook emblem on this thing.
And I know a lot of
recycle bin blue.
Right. And a lot of people are still painting their roofs blue too.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So for how long before they tweak that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It went from sheer luck to I don't know. And is it unusual too, even with smart meters, because they were saying houses with smart meters were just igniting. And after doing some research, apparently if you try to have a smart meter removed or put a regular meter back on, you pay more.
Oh, they wouldn't let me. They said if you don't put the smart meter in, you don't get service and you get fined and everything.
Yeah, see? Some areas will do it.
Do or die thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Because I think that was within intent. I really do. Him getting caught saying that. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, it could be intent. Then again, it falls into Project Bluebeam. Could be. That's the thing here with Bluebeam, is how much are we, I think there's going to be such a mix of everything. Are we really going to know what is what after a while?
Right.
The way it crisscrosses back and forth. There's so much there that is just, Well,
look at deep fake videos. We don't know what's real and what isn't anymore. Anytime we watch or read something, you have to investigate it 10 times over.
Yeah, I always say cross-reference everything to death and cross-reference it again and again until all you're left with is exactly the same thing that keeps coming up.
Yeah,
if you can. This is why I also like books, but it doesn't help you with technology, because that we're living in now. But it sure would help going back to other pieces of information that you just don't see, right?
It's so funny. Like now, when I think about it, I'm so proud of myself that I got my master's degree before AI came out, because there were no computers you could really go to get information. When you wrote your thesis paper, you had to do it of your own volition. We had to get books and research and stuff. And these kids today, they have technology like at their fingertips. So even when somebody writes their doctoral thesis, how do we know it's not mostly from AI? You don't know what's the truth and what isn't the truth anymore. Scary
exactly. Stuff. It is. And that's the age that we live in right now. And it's really not knowing. Question everything.
Yes.
I think where the warfare on a different scale. I think we're looking at, um, chemical warfare. I think we're looking at a lot of spiritual warfare
Yeah.
also. We did an episode with one of the Montauk boys Sunday. Yeah, there's definite links from Montauk Project to Bluebeam. Yes, and it's mind-blowing. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you know what? I think it's important that we bear that in mind. Start looking to some of your reputable podcasts, right? Just start really looking at stuff like this, because we all bring on guests and we all, give a platform for people to go safely to talk about their research. Ed, can you put a link to your show up in the stream? And I'm going to put it up here as well. And I'll copy and paste it and put it up in the other chats. Of course, it will only end up on the one platform for now, but it will be on all the other platforms. So I will put it up, and people can go and find you as well, if you don't mind. So, because realistically speaking, people have to know they have a safe place to go to talk about their research. And people also have to know that they can trust certain platforms to give them proper information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The Rift. Okay. Rift Nation. So
they could have you on Ethereal Encounters Unveiled.
There we go. Yes. Yes. So the Rift Nation network, and find them on Facebook, and you guys are on YouTube. But Rift Nation for sure, Facebook. So go check him out. He's been on our show. You can see his archive here as well. Nice. And he's, a lot of great content, a lot of great guests, and also everybody sort of, I've been on Ed's show. We have a lot of crisscrossing. Yes. Ed's been on a few shows here as well. So go and check him out, please, because yes, have a voice. Have a voice. Exactly. Okay, so next, human hybridization.
Yeah.
All right, girl. Take it off with this, and let's have fun.
This is an interesting one, too.
It is.
Of course, we have conspiracy theories about human hybridization and human engineering, and they often revolve around the idea that humans are not entirely a product of natural evolution, but have been genetically altered or created through or by intervention. And it could be by advanced entities, be it extraterrestrial or government programs or shadowy organizations. We've all heard those theories and seen them all over the internet. And these theories blend scientific concepts like genetic engineering with speculative narratives, frequently lacking empirical evidence, but also drawing on anomalies, historical accounts, and a lot of distrust of authority. So I have some outlined topics and, of course, a little video. Let me cue that up.
Sounds great.
Let me get that queued up here. Close the old one. Share screen. Okay. You got it, Michelle?
Yes. There it is.
Thank you.
I've been aware of multiple lifetimes that I've experienced that are not even human.
Clearly, there were ancient civilizations here on Earth before us, and to deny that, you have to really willfully ignore a lot of evidence.
Is it possible that when God creates Adam, that breathing life was genetically modifying a pre-existing humanoid that was here? It's possible. I think genetic modification of a being that maybe wasn't quite us is highly likely. I think it's highly likely that there are other races of us or other versions.
What percentage of people on Earth do you think are not originally from Earth?
I mean, that's a good question, right?
It is.
So that topic covers things like extraterrestrial hybrid theory, that humans are engineered by aliens like the Anunnaki, and that they mixed our DNA and theirs. And there's also government experiments, secret programs like the CIA, DARPA, who allegedly created these hybrid gene splicing humanoids.
Oh, yeah. Almost
poss-
500,000 years ago, apparently,
yeah,
when the Anunnaki were here. That's our
yeah,
reptilian connection, I think, too.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And possibly creating super soldiers, right? Tampering with our DNA and vaccines and stuff like that.
Mhm.
There's also an ancient tech influence, like advanced civilizations that have done experiments. And there's also a program called Human 2.0 Agenda, which is CRISPR. We've all heard about CRISPR technology, which is being done today. You guys can look it up. It's spelled CRISPR. And that's an acronym that stands for something that I completely forgot. But
yeah.
but it's definitely a thing. So who knows? I mean, what do you think, Michelle? Do you think we're hybrid humans or?
Yeah, I believe many of us are. Maybe, you know, not all. Maybe that's where, you know, the negative blood type kicks in. But we know that there is a reptilian connection. I mean, because you can go back to different historical, like the ancient Sumerians, the Hindus talk about it. You have the, you know, India, China talks about it, where they revere, let's say, the serpent goddess in China. I mean, this is a really big thing. The Aztecs. Throughout South America, there were beings who were worshipped as gods. They were called the Kukulkan, right? And you're looking at South Africa, Chitoris, children of the serpent. The Hopi spoke of, you know, who would come to procreate with women. But again, are we looking at the reptilians there? I don't know. The access, Coatlique, you know, which way, or Cotacu, sorry, and Peru. You know, the god Morop, which was, I mean, this big iguanian looking man. I mean, there's definitely some connections, you know.
Yeah.
It was believed that Oceania, right, there's oral history there from various cultures of a hybrid race that was deep within the earth, which apparently ruled the world. I guess you have to ask yourself, are they still ruling the world? Do we have these reptilian overlords that are still, you know, overseeing everything that we're doing? Because it's said that roughly 5,500 years ago, our cosmic memory was erased by a reptilian species. And it's believed that, you know, along with that, frequencies and energy that were re-emerging, you know, that it's geared more to what they can handle as well, which is why, you know, the whole blocking of the sun thing.
Yeah.
You know, is that something because they're sensitive to the sun, perhaps? I mean, you know, Dr. Christopher Macklin was on the show last week and he said, yeah, a lot of this is happening to make it better for them and their environment with the chemtrails and things like that. If that's the case, who's really calling the shots?
Oh my word.
They feed off of our energy, you know. I mean, it goes back to the time of archons, which goes back to the Gnostic texts.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very scary when you see videos of them messing with human DNA and animals. They do it with mice, there's videos all over YouTube and the internet about that. So they're definitely messing with the human genome and using this CRISPR program. So, you know, and that falls into cloning. And there are a group of people that are they believe fully that you can clone humans. I mean, and we know we can. They arrested a doctor in China because he cloned the first human baby. And they put him in jail. They put him in jail because it's, you know, it's I guess against their medical laws too to do that. So obviously we look at Molly the sheep. When was that cloned? Like in the 80s?
Yeah, ages ago. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. So I mean, if you're looking at all of that, I think it goes back, you know, hybridization, cloning. I mean, we can get into the whole cloning with the whole celebrity cloning. When clones go, but when the clone, I think I watched some videos like where clones malfunction, and you're seeing like powerful figureheads in government as well as you know, celebrities of all sorts, and you see like a lot of them don't even look the same and they malfunction. You see them tweaking and doing really crazy things. So is that mind control or is that cloning?
Yeah, it's a good question. They glitch out. the past month or so, I've been seeing a lot about Justin Bieber, and they're saying he's a lizard person and that he's morphed on
I know
video.
people who went to school with Justin Bieber, whose kids went to school with Justin Bieber. So if they cloned him, I mean, reptilian, I don't know that he would be. He's pretty messed up. He's had terrible things happen to him, but cloned, well, anything's possible with that. So I don't know. I mean, this is, it's not like I'm familiar. He's Canadian, and he grew up only about an hour and a half from here.
Yeah.
So my kids knew people who went to school with him.
Yeah. Then you had Katy Perry do that weird eye thing.
Oh, yeah.
She glitched out. And what was that newscaster?
Well, remember the Britney Spears days?
Yeah, Britney Spears. So many of them.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So some believe, that they clone because as celebrities, if they ever needed an organ or something ever happened, that they would be able to have something compatible for them right there. Right. So I don't know, is it that for real, or is it just, I think it stems from mind control, and it stems from different cloning for sure.
Yeah.
Just saying. Maybe.
I don't know if you guys have it in Canada, but in the US, there's a conspiracy theory that never check the box to be an organ donor on your license.
We don't.
Because you don't have that there?
No, we do have it. And I never check it off. My family has instructions on what to do. Yeah, it's true. My family has instructions.
They'll let you go so that they can
Oh, yeah, you're darn right. Well, in the US, it's big money. I'm sure it is now on all levels, in many different countries. But no, I've left instructions, and I leave it right there. It's just like, nope. Not a chance. So that is really interesting. Absolutely. Okay. Veil of Forgetfulness.
Yeah, I kind of like this one.
All right, let's have fun with it.
I believe it completely to be true. So the veil of forgetfulness is a concept that appears in various philosophical, spiritual, and metaphysical contexts. It refers to this theoretical barrier or a mechanism that prevents humans from remembering their existence before birth. Now, I have, a quick little, and I love these little snippet videos because they kind of give a really nice summary of things. Let me get a screen shared. Okay.
Yeah, you could just put it up when you're ready. You have control as a fellow host.
That's right.
The moment you realize this, everything changes. But why don't we remember any of this? Why do we forget our pre-birth planning the moment we enter this world? The answer lies in what spiritual teachings call the veil of forgetting. This veil ensures that we start fresh, unburdened by the weight of past lives and pre-birth knowledge. It allows us to approach each challenge with a sense of novelty, free from the bias of knowing how it all ends. The veil is not a curse, it's a gift. Imagine carrying the full memory of every lifetime into your current existence. The weight of it would be unbearable. The veil allows us to focus fully on the present moment, to experience life with fresh eyes, and to make choices that reflect our current state of consciousness.
Yeah. You know what?
I want to believe that it's for our own benefit. But don't you ever get a weird, I get these weird feelings all the time that there's something I'm forgetting. And it's not like my car keys or my glasses. Yeah. It's this deep-seated thing that gnaws at me. And so maybe that video's right to a point where you would be burdened if you had remembered all of your previous lives. But at the same time, I think it would be a magnificent gift if we were allowed to remember at least some of it.
Well, I'm on the fence, and I'll tell you why. Because I've been in that position exactly with contact from prior lives, and one specifically. But I think what you're thinking of, for me, it's been the sense of missing someone who hasn't returned with us, perhaps, or being
Yes.
aware of it. It's knowing we don't belong here, a longing to be
Yes.
somewhere else, because it feels so out of sorts to be here. But I'll tell you, I mean, I've had, like regression is done. I've had communication, and one of the past spouses came through, and it was very, very came through a lot, and started coming even after, when I became aware of this person, and he was there, and he would communicate, and I said, well, I want to visit with you, right? And I was very, very tuned into this individual, and he said, okay. And it was probably about a month, and I saw him, and it was almost like I'm at his grave, looking at him pretty much, and he's there with me, but on the outside looking in, I could see him comforting me, and he's just being of light, just beautiful, and comforting me while I am mourning, or I guess at that time I guess it's a representation of mourning him. It was a total visitation, and I kept hearing this female voice say, okay, that's enough, right? And at that point, it messed me up, because
Yeah.
I was mourning again. I felt that sense of loss, because I
Oh, yeah.
connected so deeply to this person. So I understand the part about, can you remember every love, every loss, every hardship, every funny moment? Because I had other spirits come through who were saying, well, it's me. And I'm going, from another life, I'm going, I'm sorry, I don't know you.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of maybe causing distress to that person, or,
Oh,
and now I'm feeling bad because I don't remember. This could have been a child of mine for all I know, or it could have been a
yeah.
mom, or so.
Don't you find it? Did they come through your dreams too? Like for me, I
Mhm.
get so
Yeah.
much of that in my dreams. And then I wake up frustrated because I know this person and I can't, that wasn't this lifetime. I don't know.
Yeah.
It makes
No,
me
it's
crazy.
true.
Yeah.
It's true. So I get that in a way. And Patsy says, if we're to experience physical life, why the encouragement to reach spirit now?
Right.
Well, because I believe it moves beyond the physical. And that's that part of me that says, I do think it's part of the dumbing down. I believe truly, because I can, that we are we should be able to reach through our higher selves. We should still be able to be connected with those who did not come back. We should be aware enough to know that we are really, we are in essence having a human experience. We shouldn't be forgetting everything, because honestly, like, there are times I can't remember a bloody dream. And they say the ones that you remember are usually messages,
Yeah.
so you will remember them, and the
Yeah.
other ones are inconsequential. I don't believe we sit in the body while we sleep. I don't believe if you're in a coma that you're sitting there, because there have been too many reports of people who have been outside of the body, looking at people, visiting them in the hospital, or times where I come back and I feel dog dead exhausted. I know I must have been out doing something in my sleep, because
Yeah.
I slept all night. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, I don't know. This is kind of one of my favorite ones. There's some conspiracy theories about the veil.
Okay.
If they're controlled by entities, so like
Yes,
they're
archons.
by aliens, interdimensional
Mhm.
beings, or the elite that want to keep humanity ignorant and trapped.
Yeah.
There's also a cosmic deception. Is it a tool used by higher beings to enforce separation and confusion, possibly tied to ascension suppression? That's
Mhm.
one. And then
Mhm.
there's a technological genetic theory. Uh, are we implanted artificially, and that's kind of messing with our DNA?
Mm.
Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of talk about implants, alien implants, right? Who knows? Maybe we all have them. I don't know, right?
Mhm.
Then
Mhm.
there's the reincarnation trap, which is part of the cycle enforced by the archons, wiping memories to keep
Yeah.
our soul returning to earth. And that's why, Michelle, I'm sure you've heard, they said, when you die, and people that have had NDAs, and I've interviewed a lot of them, said, do not go into the light. It's a trap.
I've
No.
heard that before.
Yeah.
I think there's so much emphasis right now on fear the darkness, Be happy in the light, fear the darkness. I do a lot of shadow work as well as light work. I don't fear the darkness. I've always been very comforted by it, actually. You know, is it a place for things to sneak around? 100%, but they can do it in the light as well, and they do. So then the reincarnation, past life, past life, past life. Like, look, yeah, it's, you want to, how many advertising do you see? Oh, yeah, you want to get a regression, know where you come from. Maybe you were queen, maybe you were king. Yeah, yeah. And maybe we were just peasants too. Like, like it happened. Somebody had to be the peasant, right? So, and out of all the lives that we are said to have had, I'm sure we have role played in just about everything.
That's right.
Right. But with that being said, we're also conditioned to go to the light when you die. Maybe you're just coming out the birth canal and your loved ones are waiting there for you. Like, it's a recycling thing. So why transhumanism? Why AI? Is that a way of trapping the essence? Perhaps. So the death process doesn't matter because your essence is still fully operational. At which point does it go from transhumanism into maybe straight up AI? And, there's always the worker bee. The essence is always there as food.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is a prison planet. For this reason. Maybe the moon is a base and they just watch us all. Like, I feel like I'm in an episode of The Truman Show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why
do some of us have horrible earthly lives? It's a good question.
Yeah. Why would my spirit choose to put me through that? Maybe you needed to feel the experience. I mean, we are here to learn, soul contracts. I mean, okay, so that spins off this in another way. Are there those of us, obviously, who's like, yes, I agreed to come back. And I think if you look at your journey, you could probably get that sorted out as to, yes, I know I'm here on my own free will and lessons to be learned. But what about those maybe who've recycled, who are starting to feel that, well, I don't really know why I'm here or why I came back. Maybe because they were recycled. And when you start looking at that end of things, it's just like, how do you get out of it?
Yeah. I think another factor too, and this is a big conspiracy theory that's going around with the non-player characters, the NPCs. And a lot of these people that we interact with on the daily are NPCs, and they're put in our lives for reasons. Maybe they're just a non-player character, or maybe they're there to help us learn a lesson. Mm-hmm. And let's face it, like my husband died a few years ago, and trust me, I could have lived without that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Every day I grieve, every day I mourn. And I always ask, like, why? Well, because it was just his time to go off the planet.
His decision. Yeah.
Exactly. And it was my lesson to learn how to function without him. And it has changed me to my DNA as a human. It has absolutely changed me to my DNA. The grief, the loss so when I forget, Patsy, somebody asked why do we have to suffer through these things? I think that's partly why, because they do transform us to our DNA. And now is the only way, having suffered that, can I attest to that to be a truth.
Mm-hmm. Well, how much is implanted memories, do you think? We forget, is there something giving us, okay, well, this is who you are. This is what you're going to believe you are. Because that's another conspiracy, is that there's something else out there veering us off path to this higher evolution.
Oh yeah.
And so they, they're just implanting these memories, that you're sort of like going, because sometimes it's sort of like, well, that doesn't feel right.
Exactly. And that's what we were talking about with the veil of forgetfulness, that there's this angst that you feel where you should know something or someone. And especially when you've had that kind of dream and you wake up, have them all the time. And it's so frustrating because I'll see a person that in my dream I knew so well, possibly loved. And then you wake up and you start wondering, where is that person? Like you could feel it to your core. It's crazy.
It is, and it's that I think for me is part of the lesson. I had to evolve past a certain stage, and I think you get to that point where you can connect to these places quite easily, and you have to find that sense of calm. I just find like I am so at a point right now, for the most part, where I feel a sense of calm. It does take a lot. So, I, it does take a lot for me to shake me up. Like honestly, I have to just say this story really quick as part of our evolutionary journey. I had somebody come in, marketplace, pick something up, and he hit my car when he backed into the driveway. I heard this loud crash. I'm like, what's that? So I go outside because Wayne was out there, and I should have just been like, what is wrong with you? But I just sat there and looked and went, okay. Wayne's hiding in the garage because he thought the whole aftermath was going to get really ugly. And I look at this young guy, and he's just like, if it was going to happen, it would happen to me. I swear things always happen to me. I was like, ah. So he says, let me know how much I'll pay for it. I'm like, okay. I came back and sat in the house. I was like, I was more gobsmacked at the fact that it happened than I was anything else. And I realized, to go a little backward a few more days, I was sitting up watching TV literally the night before. Not even a few days. I'm sorry. I think about the time frame. The night before, I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, I felt like something hit me to my front chakra, and I felt so much light and things lifting. And I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with everything as it is. And I just sat there and smiled, and it was a complete sense of peace. Now, I had asked for that because I do a lot of energy work and light work with planetary stuff. And I find sometimes it weighs me down because you just feel I'm very connected to the planet. And I thought, oh my God. And all of a sudden, it's like it all went away. And I just sat there and smiled and just went, it'll be fine. So next day, if this would have happened to me, I think Buddy might have had a whole different experience with me, but I was still in that calm state. So I believe we do get little shots of awareness and light every now and then. If we ask for it, we just may not recognize it. And you fall into the synchronicities of what they're trying to show you. Synchronicities really are the language of the universe. Most people just don't recognize it.
Yeah.
So Dream is blocking our memories. It's a part of the mind control program. It makes us feel crazy. That is a really big theory. I don't mean to be whiny. Oh, you can never be whiny, Patsy. But why would I choose to experience the horrible mother I had? Yes. Well, maybe because she had to experience you, not just you experiencing her. Sometimes it's also role reversal. Maybe you were not a very nice mother in the life before that, and your role changing. That's also another theory. Unfortunately, until we get back there or until we're allowed to remember these screen memories, where or remember our past, because we've got this veil that constantly surrounds us. We almost have to wait till we get there and hope that somebody is feeling gracious enough to give us snippets.
Yeah, and whenever I think about things that have happened to me that were unfortunate or negative, whatever you want to call them, I always ask directly after it, okay, what's the lesson? What lesson do I need to learn from this? And that kind of helps me a little bit, because it always, like you said, Michelle, when you ask for things, sometimes the universe just gives them to you, and you'll have epiphanies, these moments of clarity. And I find that when I ask, okay, what's the lesson in this? It becomes apparent. And I know why that thing had to happen to me or a loved one or whatever. So, I mean, I don't know if that helps, Patsy, but.
Yeah, it is really rough. Carrie says, I had a horrible mother, but to get back to basic root, it was an evil trade of a soul contract. It goes deep to learn, to release her, and going through inner healing work. I'll tell you something. I'm watching somebody. Oh, you're welcome, Patsy. Big hug. I'm watching somebody go through this right now in my space. and realizing the type of childhood he had. And these spirits kept coming around him, his parents. And because they need to, I guess, atone or work it out in their you apparently you go over there, you decompress, you have like, what did you learn? Blah, blah, blah. And he finally just said, you know what? Like, that's enough. Just get out of my space. And his mother, who was a catalyst for everything, would not respect that. And he basically yelled at her, and that was it. And do you know, within that time, he's almost done a complete 180. He goes, memories that haunted me with great clarity, he goes, now seem very cloudy to me. I can't even pull it. Good shot of light work also helped. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, I just.
What's a great book to read too that changed the way I view so much? The Power Up Now by Eckhart Tolle, or Tolle, however you pronounce his last name. That book really taught me how to live in this now moment. And my mantra is, and I tell my daughter and son this, all the time, about live in this now moment, and everything is fine in this now moment. That's my mantra. So whenever I get upset or my mind starts forecasting something negative, or there's some demonic voice in my head trying to tell me something that's not true, I always say everything is fine in this now moment, because it is. Like right now, we're all okay. Everything's fine.
Yes.
And like, we have to stop forecasting all this negativity, this negative talk, this worry. This is what the mind killer is.
Well, you self-sabotage by doing that too. It's important. If something kind of goes, you're having one of those moments, like with the car.
Yes.
Right. There are things out there like archons that just,
Oh, yeah.
I laughed. I just sat there going, all right, man. What am I going to do about it? Fester, feed something? No, I'm not interested in festering and feeding something. So I just laughed it off, and it's just like, meh, all right. And it's worked out. It's like,
didn't that feel great after
you feel lighter, vibration, frequency. I would joke around with Wayne, and I would say, no, you are, look at the glass is half full. He goes, there is no glass. And he'd laugh. That's your problem. Manifesting no damn glass. So, we have a lot of talks like that, which really help. But since he started looking on the flip side, everything starts changing. Your subconscious and your essence and the universe are very in tune, but literal. So if you want to keep projecting something, your subconscious and the universe is going to say, oh, well, you should put this out a lot. So there must be more of what you want. And they give you more of what you want. So if you start projecting something entirely different and positive, oh, okay, so you want more of this. This is where you're looking at manifestation. Not that you can, some people have manifested winning the lottery several times. It does happen. I've had guests come on and talk about it. I'm like, can do that? I've been doing this manifestation thing all wrong, but it can happen, right? Yeah. In many ways, I notice it now. I'm paying more attention. If I say, God, I need to find one of these things out there someplace. Yeah, it just shows up within a few days. I'm like, so you can do it. Melissa says, I had an NDE last year, and I was told that I signed up for that experience to get past my childhood trauma and to not pass it on to my children. You see, that's a big one. Generational trauma.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you this whole veil, everything. We are experiencing it. We may not recall it, but sometimes, you get those little snippets, go, why does this feel like I've done this before?
Oh, yeah.
I think it really is like that. So, absolutely. All right, next.
Here's one of your favorites, Michelle. RH negative blood conspiracy and the elite bloodlines. Yes. Why don't you're an authority in that one.
I don't know about that. I don't know that I'm an authority on it, but I do know that it does go back a really long time. And it's speculated that ETs have, tampered with our DNA. And most common are ABO, right? So I know I'm an RH negative. And funny enough, with the highest concentration being in the Basque country of Spain, I have Portuguese, uh, Portuguese and a little touch of Spanish in there as well. Both my parents were Rh negative. In a time where there may have been only, I'm going to age myself a bit, but in a time where there may have only been, 3% of the world's population that were Rh negative. We're a lot more now, obviously. But allegedly, this comes in from, Anunnaki times. Is that the reptilian side of everything? I don't know. If you go back 30,000 years ago, and I've talked with Joe about this many times, they had brown hair, brown-eyed people. And then all of a sudden, we have blue eyes, we have blonde hair, red hair, go to Scotland. My eyes change colors all the bloody time. So apparently, and underneath this hair, I have a lot of red highlight, natural red highlight in my hair. So, and I did have to take the shot, my former husband who was a positive, and, make sure that, babies were fine. And that's just the way, it is. Don't mean much anymore. Bashar has been asked that many times. Once did long ago. Well, it means something to this point, because there's still a lot of research being done on it. It's believed that we are. Some people even said that they believe that the Rh negatives were immune to things like even AIDS and things like that. So I wonder if it's just somehow the way the blood works. I mean, I've never had COVID. I barely get sick at all. Once in a while, I don't know what to say. I've never been one to get flu shots, things like that. And I've seemed to do okay. And we're supposed to be a little bit more highly intuitive and such. So I don't know. You want to take it from here?
Conspiracies tied to that, right? You have extraterrestrial ancestry, Nephilim connection, which you mentioned, this Celtic origin. And then there's a reptilian elite connection to that, medical suppression, Rh negative info hidden by authorities, elites intermarry to keep bloodlines pure, Illuminati bloodlines. I mean, there's a lot there.
No, I completely agree with that there are many different, things that they are experimenting with. As far as, I mean, some people, believe it or not, do get like tested for that sort of thing. But I know there's more and more of them now, because we're all, so if they're trying to, keep the bloodlines pure, which I can see, back in the royal times, that was the way they did things. And now when you're intermixing, what I find really funny though is, and here's, again, it's a conspiracy, but all of these sites that were collecting DNA, and they would hype up, oh, who were you related to? A king, a queen, a historical figure, a celebrity. What were they looking for? Because some of these places now have gone under. Some of these places now are up for sale, which means all of your private information is up for sale.
Right.
What were they looking for, and who was looking?
Well, isn't there a theory that they were looking for these elite bloodlines so they could stop them in their tracks from taking over power?
Maybe, if that's what they're looking for. Intent is more powerful than blood type. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same. So what it really does make you wonder what's what. Like, I didn't get onto any of these typical sites personally,
Yeah, my whole family did. Cousins, brother, sister. I would never do it. That's ancestry thing. I just
years and years ago, I dealt with a laboratory long before any of this was done, and it was, my uncle wrote a book on one side of my, I think it was my mom's father. It was a huge novel, very historical. And he was starting to work on my grandmother's, and it just kind of clicked us in with some of the figures we already knew were there. But it was very basic. It was not like submit this and this and this, and it definitely was not blood related by any means, which get you so much more information. But I'm just nobody else, like in my immediate family, wanted to fall for any of that at all. So I don't know. It is interesting, but as far as ET, a lot of ET experiencers. We're all, I won't say we're all, but a lot of people are experiencers regardless of the blood type. So I don't know how much merit I put into that part of it, but I do know that many experiencers, however, according to Joe, who's got, one of the largest contactee websites and programs in the world, I think there's something like between 60 and 80,000 people on there that have submitted and communicated with him about this, and it's been researched, and his directors have researched, and a lot of them are Rh negative. So if we're going down through family lines, like a lineage thing, and they've followed family lines for hundreds of years, thousands of years, who knows, then it's possible that are these the ones who have mixed with, or are they specifically looking for something to see if the line dies out, if it carries out, does it split? I mean, I don't know. Does it, kind of longevity does it have? I mean,
lots of questions.
Yeah, for sure. So my theory is they can trace our past lives in DNA and use our shadow cells for evil. Yeah, very possible. Very possible. So so that's, with the reptilian elite. Yeah, I mean, I read something recently, and you guys may all know about this. I don't know everything by any means, but that the Rothschild family and the royals, that some of the royals, who are the controlling Rothschilds, had to pretty much mate with the Rothschild.
Yeah.
So the heirs are very, very connected.
Jeez.
So some of these royals you're looking at are not necessarily full royal line. They've got Rothschilds and pretty much every.
I would think they would have had to, because inbreeding, you know what that does. So
right.
So how could they possibly keep that up for so many generations like that? It's crazy.
100%, which is why they bring in like new blood in there. But I mean, the fact that this has been going on for so long, and the Rothschilds are like right in there, and they don't necessarily tell you who's who. So that's just another conspiracy theory, but it seems to be information that's surfacing, and I'm going, like, why? It just doesn't seem like anything. They're not hiding anything anymore. It's sort of like, yeah, well, this is a thing, and it's not a conspiracy anymore. So it is really interesting.
I mean, that whole royal thing, like, I always think of poor Princess Diana, what happened to her, and that wasn't on the up and up either. So
yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot to that. It's like a a well-run machine.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So, what do you want to tackle next? We got 10 minutes.
About cloning, right? Want to do free plasma energy?
Yeah, let's do it.
And this is a big one with Tesla, and we've all kind of heard about that. Do I have a video for that one? I don't think so, but gee, okay. But anyway, free plasma energy, it isn't a widely established or distinct conspiracy theory, but still it's always out there on the internet. You're always hearing about it, and especially in regards to Tesla and his inventions. So it appears to be a variation or a subset of a broader free energy suppression, which we also hear about too, how they're constantly suppressing it. They want us to pay for our energy, folks. It's clear, right? So what is it? The theory basically postulates that plasma, an ionized gas, often referred to as the fourth state of matter, can be harnessed as a limitless pollution-free energy source using advanced or suppressed technology. It suggests that this technology exists, but it's deliberately hidden or suppressed by powerful entities to maintain global control.
Mm-hmm.
So the core claims are suppressed technology. Perpetrators such as governments, oil industries, the elites, they're accused of suppressing this. It has historical roots. If you go back to Nikola Tesla,
Mm-hmm.
who explored wireless energy, unconventional power sources, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Scientific bias that advocates that advocates point to plasma's unique properties. It
Mm-hmm.
has like conductivity and responsiveness to electromagnetic fields.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the key elements are it's a cover-up mechanism that some notable figures have fallen off the planet, let's say, that were involved in the creation. We had a water fuel, a cell inventor walked off the planet. A few of them, there were several of them that did create this plasma-free energy and are no longer with us. And then, of course, there's an extraterrestrial angle to that as well. We're hearing a lot of that now with them getting free energy from the pyramids, which we'll talk about later.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the motivations for it? Economic control, power dynamics, and military advantage. What say you, Michelle?
Well, I believe you get back into times of ancient Tartarians. You know, I often hear that we are the leftovers of an ancient civilization where everything was taken from the ether. And that was pretty much the same idea, I think, is that technology all over the world. You know, you see these ancient structures that had that a blimp right up into the, you know, the late 1800s, early 1900s. You could come right up into a church or a church spire, you know, and just connect up, and they can power up as the things just shot up, and they could draw it from the ether. It was all free energy. Nikola Tesla was at a World Fair, and how many light bulbs did he just light up from nothing?
Yeah, crazy.
It's from the ether. So I just believe that it's all about money. Tesla showed and had, you know, all of his research showed free energy, and he believed in that. And you know, I imagine right now he must be saying, look, man, I gave it to you. Why are we not having this? Why are people struggling? Because I can guarantee you there are many elites out there who are harnessing the power from the ether. It's not costing them a darn thing.
Sure.
Because you can get it with even more advanced technology on how to retrieve it now. You know, there was old photographs, you know, of these huge fireplaces. And the reason they were so massive is because it could harness things right from the chimneys. And they would have these big, you know, Adirons, whatever, just that it could just come in and grab it. It wasn't all for decoration. They knew how to do this, you know, far beyond what we're led to believe. So, yes.
I mean, our agencies, DARPA, HARP, they know, they're doing this already. They know how to do this. This is no surprise to any of us. It's not, that's why I was even hesitant to call it a conspiracy theory, because it's conspiracy fact.
And that's another good term. It is there. You know, when Tesla died, you know, a lot of his research ended up going right out to, you know, these three-letter organizations. Trump's uncle.
Yeah, it was stolen. It was stolen.
It was, because it wasn't all. I mean, even I think it was Tesla's nephew went in and said, I know there's things missing, and a lot were returned aside from a few boxes, which had a lot of pertinent stuff in it. So we know we're watching some of this unfold right now, right? And it'll be very, very interesting to see where technology goes. But there are already people benefiting this. Without a doubt, the common people are not going to be benefiting from that.
No. You know, I almost tend to think that these elite bloodlines didn't expect for the population to grow. What are we at? 9 billion, almost 10 billion? What are we at?
Yeah, it's up there.
We're up there. And I think that now that we're having this global awakening, they're panicking. And they're doing their darndest to like hide and subvert all the truth that they can. But I think it's too late for them. And I feel very hopeful knowing and watching, you know, and that's one of the blessings of social media is that you get to see and hear all the people that are waking up and they intuitively know that this matrix is a lie. So that's it's helpful. I find hope in that.
I agree with you. I think the more people wake up, the better it's going to be. I watch, I'm not a political person. I don't like to follow it. I just, it's just like, I can't really do much about it, but do my part and vote in the end. How many of that ends up being, rigged, whatever. But with that being said, it's a good way to watch how the population is swaying. Like here in Canada, we have an election coming up at the end of the month. And after everything that's been done to us, it's interesting that how I'm watching the needle go and I'm going, what? Short memories? And the world is watching. And I think we are, because the guy going, the new leader of the current one of the parties running is complete WEF controlled, higher up, right? So I'm just kind of like going, okay, this guy's been advising the last guy for all of these years. So we really have a lot of issues, or we have short memories, or both. And some of us are sitting there going, what? So it really is like that. So this awakening, I think is important to do a lot of self-reflecting or soul searching as well, because we are planting the seeds for the future as much as they are. Right. So we really need to be super careful.
Okay. What a web we weave.
Oh, I know. It's craziness. Okay. So we have time for one more.
Okay,
we'll go over a bit. Yeah. So let's
do the Great Pyramid of Giza. Yeah. So that's like everywhere and all over the place. And I have a quick video.
Okay.
And I'm sure that folks have been seeing this all over the place. Let me get that up there.
Yeah.
It's literally on Newsmax and news and Facebook. It's everywhere. So
yeah, it is now for sure. Yeah.
It's everywhere. So let's get this going.
All right.
Facebook. I always have to hit the unmute button.
As containment obelisks to seal something ancient and immensely powerful below the earth. These newly discovered chambers form what ancient texts called the Abyssal Vault. According to a forbidden section of the Book of Thoth, translated only once before vanishing, this vault was built by a pre-human civilization the Egyptians later called the Neteru. Gods not of the sky, but of the deep earth. At the heart of this spiral, at the lowest point, 2,000 feet down, is a black sarcophagus made from an unknown metal, humming at a frequency just beyond human hearing. Surrounding it are 8 massive crystal pylons, pulsing in alignment with the Orion constellation. Every 26,000 years during the precessional reset, the energy peaks. And here's the kicker. Some believe the being inside was not dead, but in stasis, a creature older than mankind, sealed there during a war between celestial factions, a war that ended with Earth being quarantined. The pyramids were never tombs. They were keys, or worse, a warning. And now, with the scans awakening global interest in frequencies being disturbed by human drilling and radar, the vault may be stirring. The pyramids were not...
I mean, that's some crazy stuff. They do have these scans, and at first they were saying they weren't legit, but now that they're doing more and more research, they're uncovering, these pillars and talking about Tesla and free plasma energy. It's kind of like it is basically.
Well, I'm going to take it a step further. They knew this going back to 1996, at least, because Dr. Zai Hawass, who was the lead archaeologist, and that time, basically put out a statement saying that they knew that there were tunnels and under the pyramid. They knew there was something there. And now they figured that this goes across and under the entire Giza Plateau, encompassing all of the pyramids, not just the Great Pyramid. So when we factor that in, this is a conspiracy part. When we factor in this incredible, amazing news. This is huge news,
It's huge.
right? And their the discovery of their Ark of the Covenant, CIA kind of went in there. We won't mute. Well, it's believed that there are several arcs, but okay, we know of one that they've tapped into, so we'll go with that. In my experience and watching how things have unfolded over the last few years, because I question everything now. When they're putting in something that substantial times two, what's coming that they do not want us to see?
Like a false flag kind of thing.
Yeah. Or distraction.
Yeah, look over here, look over here. Well, we're doing something over here. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So usually, there are theories that are floating around, that are less like something big is coming that is worrying them, the powers that be, and they really want us distracted. See, so what you do is you give a little bit, but then you make something really substantial, but then you have something else coming.
I wonder what that could be.
It could be upcoming, elections in different parts of the world, ours included. It could be. They're ignoring something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I tend to think it's not political. Maybe it has to do with disclosure.
But that's happening anyway, unless I think they make us question everything when it comes to the blue beam and false flags, because when it really comes down, they're going to want us to question it and not believe it. And how many are going to miss the boat because of it when it does happen? Or is there, something of gargantuan effects? Is it cataclysm? Is it near cataclysm? They're talking about this huge asteroid coming in and, smacking us around a little bit. I tend to think that I just don't know that they care enough about us to warn us about something like that. I know that I've gone and seen articles from underground, elite going underground to paying Dubai to build up abodes in the high mountains. So now some of them are moving up at a great expense because things are being carved into the stone.
Right.
To protect them. So what is going on there? So again, conspiracy theories, things are happening, but why are we getting a double whammy of a biblical proportion or ancient civilization, stuff that they've known about for at least 2 decades? Why now?
I don't know. What could it be? So you're talking about the release of the Ark of the Covenant too, with the remote.
All that information in sync with the Giza, the underground city. Like they've known, like the Hall of Records. Like we know things are going on in Egypt. We know things are being discovered everywhere.
Another pandemic, or like what could it possibly be?
I don't know, but whatever it is, they don't want us. Like some people were saying, "Oh, it was the release of the JFK files because it was done in 2 stages."
I don't think it's that.
And it's not enough. It's not enough, Not because you could have given the Ark of the Covenant to sidetrack you from that, but this discovery, because this keeps, especially Giza. There's a lot of information coming out in this, and they're really, and I'm grateful. Believe me, I'm grateful for any disclosure.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. I don't know. It's weird because I think we're so numb as a society, a global society, that like when we had that drone thing happen, people would see these drones and they'd go, "Ooh, all right, I got to go to work. Ooh, I have to pay the bills." Nobody really cared. I mean, there was awe and amazement, but I think a UFO could fly over somebody's house and they would awe about it for 2 seconds, and then I got to get to work. I think people have just become numb to a lot of this stuff. So yeah, the Giza thing, it's all over the internet, but 30 seconds later, everybody's just living their life and about it. So what do you think they're trying to do? Like, I don't know, Michelle.
It's a tough one, because when the whole Epstein thing started coming to light, then we had Amber Heard. All we can hear about is Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, and Amber Heard crapping on Johnny Depp's pillow. And, abuse. And all of a sudden, it's like everybody, people are asleep, Richard. Everybody kind of went, "Oh, Epstein who?" We're just like, okay, come on. So, so I guess now They have to give you something bigger because people are, like you say, awakening, and yeah, good one,
They
Wayne.
are
We've been
desensitized.
desensitized
That's so true.
to literally everything in the last 75 years, at least. At
And
least that.
I see it. I'm desensitized myself.
Yeah. So yeah, see, once all this information is released, the powers that be will simply use the Mandela effect to say it never happened.
Good one, Wayne.
Yeah. 100%.
Good one.
100%. I truly
Good one.
believe, yeah, fight or flight mode. We're there. When we have to really start paying attention.
Yeah.
Don't be asleep. You're the driver of your car.
That's right.
Don't be asleep. I would rather be aware. You may not be able to do anything about it, but you can do something about how you handle it or how you perceive it or what you do with that information. But to not know or to simply go, it's conspiracy. Just remember who invented the term conspiracy theorist. It was CIA in the 70s. So, to keep us, to make us feel silly for believing things like that. But these things have come to pass and they're still coming to pass. So, they're going to up the ante at some point.
I agree, Michelle. And my philosophy is never stop asking questions. That's one of the reasons I love interviewing people, because I get to ask the questions. Yes. So remember how important the questions are, not so much the answers, because that can fall under, personal belief, science, whatever, but never stop asking the questions.
100%. I agree with you 100%. And I think I see a part 3 on the horizon.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I love this stuff. But I love it. And it could just keep going without a doubt. So,
Michelle, thank you for having me. It's such a blessing knowing you in my life.
Thank you.
I really mean that. I'm so, and I tell you that all the time.
I know.
To know,
and I love you for it, and I love sharing space with you, and I think that we have a lot of fun doing these, and I think there's a lot of information out there that needs to be shared. So you guys can watch for a part 3 coming up, because there is so much out there. Things change all the time. So remember, there's only going to be.
We should do this weekly. I don't know. That may be too much, but
weekly would be hard. But I could probably, I could definitely, go every 4 to 6 for sure. Only because of how I'm booked up. But we will definitely do it. So remember, for those of you who are looking, right here is where you're going to have to go to catch this rerun. So those of you who follow us on Rumble will automatically be notified, but I promise you it'll be there the minute we sign off. So thank you everyone. Thank you. So guys, this week on the Outer Realm, tomorrow night, Don Yazzie, who is a member of the Navajo Nation, exploring the mysteries of the Navajo Nation, Skinwalker, Sasquatch, Little People, ET abductions, and oh my gosh, so much more. Thursday, Derek Soul, and who is a researcher of high strangeness and really old newspapers. It's been a fascination to his most of his life, and he posts so much stuff. But anyway, high strangeness in odd old news, which is his handle. So you'll have to check us out on that in the next couple of evenings. So in the meantime, puplet. Oh, so I'm like a big squirrel when I see a puppy. Puppy. But anyway.
This is Oliver.
Oliver. What a cutie pie. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Outer Realm. And big thank you to the United Public Radio, UFO Paranormal Radio, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from New Orleans. And we shall see you all tomorrow night. And Carolann, your show, who do you have on this coming Thursday?
I have Preston Dennett and Dolly. We're going to be talking about Symmetry 2, the new book, and we're going to dive deep into talking about fifth dimensional aspects and UFO stories.
Yep. So don't want to miss that. That's Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. So check her out. So you've got Wednesday, You've got Thursday with Carolann and Thursday night with the Outer Realm. Goodbye, everybody. I'm just saying good night, but for some of you, it's good night. So I'm just going to say thank you for tuning in. I love you all.
Thank you all so much. Bye-bye. See you soon.